In October 2024, a Google Street View car captured what looked like the aftermath of a horrific crime in the small Spanish town of Tahueco. It captured a man loading a large white bag into the trunk of his car.
Body.
Now, this easily could have had an innocent explanation. However, many noted that the bag's shape looked a lot like a human body. And unfortunately, that is exactly what it turned out to be.
He caught a
the
body.
bag contained the remains of a 32-year-old Cuban man named Jorge Luis Perez. He had gone missing in November 2023 after sending a message to his family saying he was leaving Soria, the place he had lived, with a girl he had met, and that he would no longer be using that phone. One of his cousins found this highly suspicious and reported his disappearance to the police. However, despite the investigators' best efforts, they were unable to find any clues that could help them find Jorge. There were no witnesses or any surveillance footage that could point them in the right direction. So the case went cold for months. Or at least until one of the investigators came across the Google Street View images in November 2024. Coincidentally, the Street View car had also captured the same man carrying the white plastic bag in a wheelbarrow on the way to his car.
Bro, imagine getting caught by Google. Like, the investigators couldn't do nothing. You got away. It was a clean break. You caught a body and you escaped. Then suddenly, coincidentally, Google decided to take pictures of the streets that day, and you got caught in 480p. That's wild, bro.
These images proved to be the final piece in solving the mystery of Jorge's disappearance. They were able to...
At the same time, how did the investigator catch such a cop? Like, how did the investigator... What was he doing on Google? What was he doing? What was he looking for on this particular street? That he saw this and was like, you know what? Sure, let's investigate. Like, that's cop there.
Narrow down the list of potential suspects by tracing the vehicle back to its owner, a 48-year-old Tahueco resident named Manuel Isla Gallardo, who worked at the town hall in the neighboring town. However, Manuel had no prior history of violence or any other illegal activity, making it difficult for the authorities to arrest him without any solid evidence. But after tapping his phone and trailing him for a couple of weeks, the investigators uncovered the connection they were looking for. He was in a relationship with Jorge's partner, and as later investigation would reveal, Manuel and this partner kidnapped and later killed Jorge because of this love triangle. They likely...
Wait, what? Okay, wait. The black guy was in a relationship with the girl who was previously in a relationship with the nigga that killed the black guy. So the nigga that killed the black guy and the black guy's girl came together to kill the black guy. Nah, this story is weird. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Google cuts them hiding the body. This story doesn't sound weird to you? That's...
would have gotten away with it as well, if not for the Street View images, a discovery that was nothing short of a miracle. You see, the town of Tahueco has fewer than 50 residents, so there were no eyewitnesses to Manuel putting Jorge in his car. Additionally, the Google Street View car just so happened to be driving through Tahueco for the first time in 15 years. Both Manuel and his partner...
First time in 15 years is scopped. Like, I'm sorry I'm stopping this so much, but this story is out of this world. This story is unbelievable unless you see it for yourself. The car was happening to pass through that part of the world for the first time in 15 years. It just happens to catch them hiding the body of... Nah. God just wanted you to be caught. God just wanted you to be caught. For real.
Were arrested on November 11th after investigators found more evidence linking them to Jorge's disappearance in their home. Their arrest also led to the discovery of Jorge's remains in a cemetery about 15 minutes from where the Google Street View images were captured,
At least they had
finally bringing closure to his tragic case.
They had a decency. Is it decency or was it
in
like...
December 2018, the Brisbane Police Department in Australia received a missing person report regarding 46-year-old Priscilla Bruton. She was an American beauty queen who moved to Australia with her daughter back in 2013 to start a new life. Things were going well for Priscilla. However, during the latter half of 2018, she stopped posting on social media and completely cut off communication with her friends and family back in the US. After months of silence, one of her friends contacted the police, sparking an investigation into her disappearance. But she was nowhere to be found. She was last seen at the house of her boyfriend, Mark Waden, who she met during...
First is first, the Mark Waden, you look like the kind of person that would do this. I don't mean it because of his skin color, and y'all are gonna take it out of context, but he just gives that vibe of he got anger issues, like he has issues he gotta deal with, and he deals with it by drinking, and you can just see his eyes. His eyes are just cold. His partial smile, the stubbled beard, and the serial killer glasses. Serial killers are working accountant. Like, bro.
A Zumba class in 2017. However, when questioned, Mark claimed that they had actually broken up back in June 2018. He also suggested that she went missing on purpose to avoid immigration, since she was apparently overstaying her visa by that point. But this wasn't enough to convince the investigators of his innocence, as they also found Priscilla's car just 11 miles from his home. With no other leads, police began to consider the possibility of a potential homicide. And that's where they made a grim discovery.
It's
Priscilla
always a boyfriend,
was
bro.
without it.
I gotta tell you guys, in cases like this, it's always a partner. It's always the partner. It's always the boyfriend. It's always the girlfriend that did the deed, bro. It's always a partner. The crime of love is crazy. Do you know how many partners kill each other?
Down dead. Even more shockingly, she was buried in Mark's front yard. Cadaver dogs helped pinpoint her exact burial location near the home's entrance, prompting an excavation to recover her remains on June 8, 2019. However, while the investigators did find some evidence from the dig site, most of the body was completely missing, which didn't seem to make any sense.
He probably
As it turned
sold
out,
them.
Mark caught wind of the upcoming excavation in May, hired a construction crew to dig up the area with Priscilla's remains, and transported it to an unknown location with a trailer. What he didn't know, however, was that his crime had been captured on camera long before the investigation ever began. In August 2018, a Google Street View car mapped the Bracken Ridge area around Mark's home, and as it passed in front of his property, it captured what appears to be the very grave he dug for Priscilla, right where she was eventually buried.
What?
It even showed the trailer he would later use to hide the evidence. This, combined with testimonies from neighbors who saw him digging in the yard at unusual hours, made it impossible for him to play dumb and get away with his crime.
Why on earth did he bury her in the front yard? He's not playing dumb. He's just plain dumb. Ooh, that rhymed.
He was finally arrested on the 13th of June and is currently awaiting sentencing while under house arrest.
Is that him? That's not him though. That's a different white man.
Sometime in 2018, Google updated the street view in the Ecatepec de Morelos municipality in Mexico. Among the many new snapshots were the
That looks
pictures
like a
of this
beautiful
rather
city.
unassuming empty lot with
take it
bags of
back.
trash scattered around the overgrown plants. However, those trash bags concealed a horror beyond what anyone in that neighborhood could have imagined.
Body
The truth
bags.
came to light when the local police investigated a string of disappearances in the area and noticed a few similarities. All of the missing individuals were women, they were all young, and most importantly, they had all received calls and messages from the same woman before their disappearance, 28-year-old Patricia Martinez. She lived in a house just 100 meters away from that empty lot with her 33-year-old husband, Juan Carlos Hernandez, and their 4 children. The two made a living by selling clothes, food, jewelry, anything they could right outside their home. On the surface, they appeared to be a perfectly normal couple, but despite their seemingly ordinary lives, authorities kept an eye on them for weeks, suspecting that there was much more going on behind closed doors.
There's always
Then,
much
on the
more
4th
going
of
on behind
October,
closed doors.
investigators saw the two walking outside with a stroller. They suspected the stroller was carrying the 2-month-old daughter of a missing woman who had vanished together with her mother a month prior. Hoping to
Heavy.
prevent any harm to the baby, the investigators moved in and apprehended both Patricia and Juan. However, when they inspected the stroller, its contents left them in disbelief. Instead of a live child, it contained the dismembered remains of a woman. The couple was...
I was thinking drugs. Why the hell was I thinking drugs? Dismembered remains is crazy. Oh my days, that's come. Oh my days, dismembered remains is something else. Oh my god. Oh my God.
Headed to the empty lot near their home to dispose of the evidence of their horrific crime.
Why the hell
But
are
this
they
was
just-
only the tip of the iceberg.
What the hell are they
As the
even
cops
doing
searched
with
their
it?
home, they discovered dozens of dismembered human remains stored in their fridge, wrapped in
Ew.
plastic bags, and some encased in cement. The cement bags in their home
Ew.
also matched the ones that were scattered throughout the empty lot seen on Google Street View. Soon after their arrest, Juan admitted to everything and revealed the true extent of their gruesome crimes. According to his statements, the two had killed almost 28 women since 2012,
God, lock them under the jail cell, bro. Oh my God, bro. And you see her and you say, "Oh, this is a normal person. This is a beautiful lady. She kills people." That's tough.
including their neighbor's 13-year-old daughter. They would lure poor, vulnerable women with the promise of cheap or free
13-year-old
clothes and
daughter?
high-paying employment before ending their lives in the most unspeakable ways and discarding their remains in plastic bags or cement.
Yeah,
And
I get
if that
but
wasn't
why
bad
though?
enough, Patricia also admitted to cooking and cannibalizing parts of their victims.
Oh yeah, okay. Swear. Okay, yeah, wrap it up. Wrap it up. These niggas deserve the death penalty, nigga. They don't deserve jail, bro. They deserve the penalty. Ooh, lock them up, strap them to the chair, give them a helmet, man. Stab them with a needle. Holy cannibalism.
As well as feeding them to their dogs.
Oh,
However,
nah.
the most shocking part of it all was Juan's complete lack of remorse, with him boldly declaring his hatred of women and vowing to do the same again if he was ever given the chance.
Y
Yeah.
prefiero que mis perritos coman carne de estas mujeres a que ellas sigan respirando mi oxígeno.
Nigga said my oxygen. Oh. Nigga said my oxygen. Okay. 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 You see what I'm talking about with the death penalty? This nigga don't deserve rehabilitation. He deserves to go meet God, man. God will be the most suitable punishment for this dude. On bro.
Mientras yo siga aquí en la tierra, voy a seguir haciendo todo el daño que yo pueda. Y divirtiéndome de ese daño.
The only silver lining
That was
in
a
this
real
entire
supervillain
case
right
is
there,
that the
bro.
baby was unharmed. They had actually sold it to another couple for 15,000 pesos, or about $770. These buyers were later arrested and the baby was rescued safely. As for Juan and Patricia, they were sentenced to nearly
they arrest the buyers?
350 years behind bars, where they remain to this day.
350. Oh yeah, that's come. They're not coming out, bro.
If you
They
go
have
to this
children, they're
location
going
in
out.
Barron, Wisconsin on Google Street View, you will see cop cars and police tape surrounding this residence. On October 16, 2018, this Street View car captured the aftermath of one of the most monstrous crimes in Wisconsin's recent history. It happened a day earlier when the 21-year-old Jake Thomas Patterson knocked on the Kloss residence at around 12:50 a.m. and claimed to be a cop. James Kloss came to the door and demanded to see Jake's badge before opening the door. In a fit of rage, Jake raised the shotgun he'd brought with him and shot James through the door. He then fired
Why?
another shot to break the lock and enter the house. Meanwhile, Denise Kloss locked herself and her 13-year-old daughter Jamie in the bathroom and made this disturbing 911 call.
County 911, where is your husband? Somebody I just want from. Hello?
Yeah, this is not the time for screaming. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh no. I think he caught up to them. Oh no.
Officers rushed to the scene, but unfortunately it was already too late. Not long after the 911 call, Jake shot down the bathroom door as well and opened fire on Denise. By the time the officers arrived, both James and Denise were already dead. However, the more urgent concern was Jamie, who was nowhere to be found. It didn't take long for officers to realize that Jamie had been taken by Jake. In fact, one of the responding officers had unknowingly passed Jake's fleeing car while rushing to the Kloss residence. As
What?
later investigation would reveal, Jake had developed a sick infatuation with Jamie after seeing her get off her school bus, and
What?
kidnapping her was his primary motive that night. He took her
After kidnapping her, what then, Jamie? What then, bro? That's the question. She's not gonna fall in love with you. So what's the point? What stuff? Maybe he wants to have his way with her. But is that really the right route you want to? Man, come on, you give me a headache, bro. Just go talk to her, man. You saw her get off of school bus. She might be crazy. You gonna kill her fucking parents to prove your love? Are you dense? Oh my god.
Her to his cabin about 80 miles away from her home and locked her in one of the rooms. And while the investigators started searching for Jamie almost immediately, they had nothing that could lead them in her direction. The FBI even put out a nationwide missing person report and offered a $25,000 reward for any information that could lead to Jamie's rescue. Unfortunately, none of this led to anything substantial, and the hope of finding her alive kept declining with each passing day. But
so sad,
then,
bro.
on January 10th, 2019, the Wisconsin Police Department received a call they never expected.
Douglas County 911. Hi. I have a young lady at my house right now, and she says her name is Jamie Kloss.
As it turned out, Jamie escaped Jake's cabin 88 days after her disappearance.
That's comped. 88 days. Holy, Jamie had her for a while, bro. Oh my god, but she escaped, man. That's a true fighter right there.
And asked for help from one of his elderly neighbors.
So how did she come up upon your cabin? I was walking my dog, and we were almost home, and she was walking towards me, crying, saying, "You gotta help me, you gotta help me."
She pulled off this remarkable escape by carefully studying Jake's routine for weeks, tracking
fighter,
when he left
bro.
and how long he was gone, waiting patiently until the perfect opportunity revealed itself.
She's a
After getting
fighter.
in contact with the police, she told them everything she knew about her kidnapper, resulting in Jake getting identified and arrested following a traffic stop. Jake stood trial on May 24, 2019. He pleaded guilty to all charges and was given 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole.
I mean, if a nigga is going bald at 20, you know he's gonna be on some BS, bro.
40 additional years in prison.
2 life sentences plus 4 is
In
additional
February
years.
2011, a Google Street View
Okay.
car captured what looked like an abduction in progress in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It shows a burly man saying something to a woman while she's trying to get away, while a car with an open trunk is parked nearby. The next slide shows the man restraining the woman, while we can also see another man strangely sitting in the car's trunk. And the next slide provides a clear view of the scene, showing the man in the white shirt seemingly trying to force the woman while she bites his hand in what looks like an attempt to break free. However, the final slide is even more unsettling as it shows the parked car driving away with neither the woman nor the man in the white shirt visible anywhere. Unfortunately, despite the alarming circumstances shown in these snapshots, I couldn't find any additional information about the alleged kidnapping. No news articles, missing person reports, or criminal investigation records. It's almost as if the crime never happened, which, given the situation, isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. There's a good chance that this disturbing scene has a perfectly innocent explanation. Maybe the white shirt man and the woman know each other, and instead of an attempted abduction, he's simply trying to tickle her. This would explain why he has a cheerful, almost smug grin in one of the snapshots,
Yeah,
and
I
why
thought
she's
about
holding
that.
onto her cigarette while trying to free herself from a presumably dangerous situation.
I thought
But
about
even with
that.
all that in mind, the possibility that this was a real crime that just flew under the authorities' radar is also just as possible. The lack of reports and news articles doesn't necessarily mean nothing happened. It could just as easily point to a bigger systemic issue with bribery, corruption, and cover-ups that allow serious crimes to stay hidden in plain sight. Curiously, Google has since removed the most ominous snapshot from Street View for some unknown reason. Unfortunately, it's been over 14 years since these images were captured, and without any new evidence or leads, this case likely will forever remain a mystery.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. That's a fire video, bro. That's a fire video in chilling scares.